Hey guys, Brian delivers you the goods here. Sorry that I didn't do a video yesterday. I just didn't have time. I was planning on doing another movie review yesterday, but I had to work 4 to 10:30 last night, and I gotta do it again tonight. So after tonight, I think I'm off the rest of the week, and I don't know when I'll be going back to work. Be sometime next week, hopefully, unless they ask me to come in on the 30th. But pretty much, I'm going to be reviewing an album for you for the new Red, the Christian metal band Red, and their 8th studio album, Rated R, that I got a chance to check out for myself to see what I was going to think of it. Sorry that my hair is messy. I just woke up about an hour or so ago, so still waking up a bit, but yeah. So I'm going to discuss what I listened to for all 10 songs by the band Red and their new album Rated R, and let you know my thoughts on this almost 34-minute album. So let's dive into this album review. Now, it's not a very long album, so it'll go by real quick, honestly. The first track is the first single, Surrogates, and honestly, I thought it was average. I just wasn't a fan of the do what you will or say what you will for a kill lyric. I just wasn't feeling for that moment in the track. That was the only cringy part of the song. The rest of the track played alright, but give me a second, guys, gotta pause the video. Sorry about that, guys. My mom was calling me for a moment. I'm sorry about the background noise. Basically, I just had to pause the video for a moment so you didn't have to hear the phone call majority of the time. Surrogates is an average song, like I said. I'm going to give it a 3.5 out of 5. It's grown on me a bit, but I wouldn't say it's my favorite track as of now, because I don't really come back to this song that much. It's just like, it happened, it's whatever. It wasn't their best, but moving on, mostly. So, Your Devil is a Ghost is a solid track. I think it's good. It just has some weird vocal moments from Michael Barnes that I don't know if I feel for, but I think the rest of the track was pretty solid and did pretty good. So 4.5 out of 5. I think the chorus is where it had some cringy moments, but I think the rest of the track performed alright. So 4.5 out of 5. Minus It All was, I believe, the third single for this album, along with Cold World. I actually did enjoy this track. It was really good. Michael Barnes' vocals were good in it. He did more clean vocals in this track, and it sounded amazing. And I really dug this track with how it sounded overall, so 5 out of 5. One of my favorite songs, but I think the next song is probably my favorite, personally. Cold World is my all-time favorite song from this album, personally. I actually dug the melody. I dug the violin work, how Michael Barnes was singing it. It just sounded really good, and I could really feel for the track with the lyrics and how the overall sounding of the song sounds. So, pretty amazing song, and it was one of the singles to come out with Minus It All. So it was like a double singles that came out on the same day. So that was like September 1st, so like a few weeks ago, like 4 weeks ago. So yeah. So 5 out of 5. Tell Me How to Say Goodbye does have some synth beats or whatever, like some electronic beats at certain points in the track, but the rest of the track performed alright. It's just the first opening chorus was the weakest, and then it started progressing as the rest of the track went on, and I was like, it's not bad. It's not my favorite, but it's not bad. So 4.5 out of 5. Then comes The Suffering. Pretty strong track. Michael Barnes' vocal potential sounds amazing in this track. The drum work and guitar work is amazing. Thought it was going to be a mellow song at first because of how it opened up the track, but it does impress you, this track, with his vocal potential and just the way it sounds overall. Pretty good. 5 out of 5. Still Bleeding is a solid track, meaning it's good in its own way. It does have some weak moments as the track goes on, but I think the chorus is not bad. It's a song I gotta come back to and see if it's gonna grow on me, but for right now, I'd give it a 4.5 out of 5. Our Time Will Come was a pretty strong track. I really like how Michael Barnes is singing the track and just the way it executes with the melody. And there's a few synth moments. I think with Still Bleeding, there's synth moments. So they did experiment a bit with this album, but not as much. But they did experiment a little bit, almost like the Gone album, but not to the point where it was excessively pop metal stuff. So basically, 5 out of 5 for Our Time Will Come. It's a pretty good track. I really like how it sounds. Last Forever is another favorite song of mine. I really like how it sounds overall. I just like how Michael Barnes is singing the track. This and Cold World are probably my favorites so far from the album. And the next song is a pretty good one too. So yeah, 5 out of 5 for Last Forever. I just like how it's sounding overall with how Michael Barnes is singing it. The guitar work, the drum work is amazing. And just how it's played out, the rest of the track did perform pretty well. 5 out of 5. And finally, we get to the last track, Emergency, which is a pretty outstanding closing track. Even though the opening track didn't do well, it has how it started from the first song with the weird talking and some kind of weird electronic noises or whatever the hell it is, and some static. It does that at the end of the album, where it does at the very end of the song for the electronic noises and the static and people talking and all that. So yeah, it kind of starts where it finishes mostly. So starts off with that and then it finishes off with that mostly. So pretty interesting album, but I think I have a few critiques with this album. So 5 out of 5 for Emergency. Still an outstanding track with how it's performed and all that, and Michael Barnes sounds good in this song with his vocals, so 5 out of 5. Overall, production, mixing, and execution wise, I think Red's 8th studio album, Rated R, was an average album. I wasn't sure if I was going to like it that much to be good enough to give it an 8 out of 10, but the only critique I have is with Surrogates and maybe a few other tracks. But pretty much, it wasn't a terrible album. It was not bad. So, it's their weakest, but it's not bad. I think, personally for me, I think Declaration was great, even though they released too many fucking singles for that album. They only released 3 singles for this album, which I was grateful that they did, because they didn't spoil the album. They only released 3 songs for the album and kept fans anticipated to see what they were going to think of this album come September 29th, and today is it is almost September 29th. It does come out at midnight, so definitely check this album out for yourself to see what you think of it. So first score for me, I'm giving Red's Rated R album a 7.5 out of 10. Average album. It's not my favorite, but I think there were some tracks I could come back to with this album. As the rest of the year goes on, Surrogates is kind of forgettable. I mean, it's average, but that was probably the decline for the album's rating, mostly. And a few other songs kind of disappointed me, too. Not to the point where I hated them, just where they were good, but did have its execution flaws. So, like Your Devil is a Ghost and Tell Me How to Say Goodbye were the other 2 least favorites. So, pretty much, and I think Still Bleeding is another one, too. I forgot to mention that. 7.5 out of 10 for Red's new album, Rated R. Thank you for watching this album review.